What should the Las Vegas Raiders do at the quarterback position? The Raiders have a big question to answer, and that's who's going to be the starting quarterback in the 2025 regular season. Now, for a little bit, it looked like quarterback Matthew Stafford might be the guy. There was a lot of reports and whispers that the Raiders were close to making a trade with the Los Angeles Rams to bring him in as the starting quarterback, but that dream has officially sailed. Stafford and the Rams worked out a new deal on Friday, March 1st, so he's staying put in Los Angeles, and that leaves the Raiders back to square one, searching for a quarterback solution. Now, after missing out on Stafford, the rumor mill is buzzing again, and ESPN's Adam Schefter dropped some news that the Raiders are potentially looking at a few veteran quarterback options, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now, both of those guys are free agents. And Schefter did also mention Sam Darnold could be an option, but Russell Wilson and Fields are the ones that are getting the most attention. So who could be the next Raiders quarterback? And ultimately, what moves are the Raiders going to make in this offseason to address the quarterback position? I know a lot of you guys are fans of Aiden O'Connell, but even if you're the biggest fan of him, I don't see how you can make an argument that we have to put all our eggs in one basket with him and ride it out with him being the starting quarterback next season. You're gonna have to bring in another guy to compete at that position. Now, a guy like Russell Wilson, he could be interesting. I mean, he has history with our current head coach, Pete Carroll, from their time together in Seattle, where they won a Super Bowl together. Now, he's 36 years of age. He still definitely has something left in the tank. But the one thing that does mainly concern me with Russell Wilson is ever since his departure in Seattle, for whatever reason, it seems like he doesn't get along with either his teammates or his coaches.
I think I have an alter ego. His name's Mr. Unlimited.
And it definitely seems like there's something about Russell Wilson, his personality, the way he carries himself. I don't know exactly what it is, but with the Denver Broncos, you saw there was a teammate that was damn near gonna fight him on the sideline. And to me, it is a little bit of a red flag that the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they don't bring him back, for them to let him go after just one season where they ultimately made the playoffs. So I would like to think that they would want to run it back with him. And if they don't bring him back, this could indicate that there was some tension with Russell Wilson and people in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. There's been rumors that him and Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, did not get along. And reportedly, there's been rumors that Russell Wilson was the one that leaked out that information, that Arthur Smith did not let Russell Wilson do certain things late in the season when it came to making pre-snap adjustments, changing plays, things of that nature. So that is really the main thing that concerns me with Russell Wilson. Also, too, the Raiders missed out on a perfect opportunity to go the Russell Wilson route last offseason where you could have got him on a veteran minimum deal. So that's my only concern with him. I don't know how he's going to fit in the locker room. And also, too, I don't know how that relationship ended with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson when he left Seattle. So those are things to definitely take into consideration. Now, Justin Fields, on the other hand, is a much younger quarterback at 25 years of age. He's super athletic, can run like crazy, but he's still figuring things out as a passer. Now, a guy like Chip Kelly, though, who has familiarity with working with mobile quarterbacks, he may be able to get something out of him, put him in the best position to succeed. But even then, a guy like Justin Fields, the only thing that I like about him is he is going to be cheap. You can get him on a relatively short-term contract. You don't got to invest a whole lot in him. So it may be an experiment you'd be willing to try out. But ultimately, the one thing I don't like about him is he's also a young quarterback that needs to figure things out. And he's not really a veteran quarterback, at least with these other guys like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, whoever you want to put out there. At the very least, they provide a veteran presence in that quarterback room that a young quarterback like Aiden O'Connell, or if we draft a quarterback this year, you give them a legit veteran presence in that locker room, in that quarterback room, for them to learn off of and feed off of. So something to take into consideration with that. But with the Raiders being out on Matthew Stafford, really he was the only one that kind of intrigued me when it came to the veteran quarterback route. At this point, I mean, I think the one thing we have to understand is if the Raiders do make a move at the quarterback position during free agency, we have to understand that this is ultimately not the long-term solution. We're trying to look for a stopgap quarterback at that point. renting a quarterback essentially. And I think the Raiders definitely need to consider investing in a quarterback for the future, and that's by doing it in the NFL draft. Now, the NFL Combine kicked off yesterday for the quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks were out there throwing. Yeah, Jackson Dart, that looked really impressive in his deep ball throws. Jalen Milroe also too had some nice deep ball throws. Will Howard did pretty solid as well. So I think the Raiders, there could be a chance we draft a quarterback this offseason. It's just all going to depend on who and where do they select them. Do they draft the quarterback early? There's been some rumblings that we may trade up to number 1. And if you do that, you're obviously going to get Cam Ward. But I don't know. I really doubt that. It's going to take a lot of draft capital, but we'll just see what happens. A guy like Shedeur Sanders, a lot of you guys, either you love him or you hate him. But to me, if he falls at 6, definitely an interesting option. And the way things have been trending, it seems like there could be a good possibility that he falls to 6. And of course, you got the other guys like Dart, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, guys that you could potentially get later in the draft. Now, one thing though with Jackson Dart is, to me, I feel like his draft stock is continuing to rise. I would not be shocked if he gets picked in the first round. So I feel like if you're a big Jackson Dart guy, you're probably either going to have to select him at 6, or the Raiders are going to have to either trade back a little bit in the draft, or they're going to have to trade up from the second round into the late/back half of the first round on draft night. That's personally how I see it panning out for Jackson Dart. I think he'll be a first round pick, but these other quarterbacks, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, very likely you're going to be able to get them second, third round. So those are definitely options to consider. And I think ultimately, maybe this was a blessing in disguise, not going after Matthew Stafford. Now, Pete Carroll has made it clear that they want to win now. But, ultimately, that's nice to say and everything. But I just don't really know if the Raiders are in the best position to go all out, to go in this, quote unquote, win now mode. Ultimately, we just need to focus on improving as a football team, improving and competing in the division, and ultimately trying to address key positions that will not only improve our football team next season, but improve the team for the long haul. We have to address the offensive line, and we have to address the guy under center. We have to get a quarterback. To me, the Raiders need to draft a quarterback at some point in this year's draft. Now, I'm not totally opposed to signing a quarterback in free agency to like a short-term deal. Like I said, being more of that stopgap quarterback. Depending on what prospect you draft this year, some of these guys, they definitely are going to be well served sitting down a little bit, not throwing them out to the wolves to start before they're truly ready. So I could definitely see that being a possibility, but with the Raiders missing out on a guy like Stafford, at this point, I feel like we have to invest in the future. The quarterback position is the most important position in the entire National Football League. You look at the landscape of our division, all 3 other teams have their franchise quarterback, and the Raiders, it's going to be hard for us to compete until we get a guy that we're confident in the quarterback room. So to me, that needs to be a priority in this offseason, and I think we need to do it through the draft. We need to stop trying to put band-aids at the quarterback position, and ultimately, we need to find our guy for the future. Hopefully, this is where the influence of Tom Brady could work wonders. When it comes to scouting department, when it comes to scouting the quarterback position, in general, I would like to believe there would be no other better option than the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. And that's something to keep into consideration too. That's why I kind of find it hard to believe that the Raiders will take a gamble on a guy like Jalen Milroe. Don't get me wrong, high upside, really athletic guy. Could have huge upside for NFL franchise down the road. But you look at Tom Brady, the way he played the quarterback position, if you just listen to how he's talked about quarterbacks, what he likes in them and what he sees when he's scouting a quarterback, to me, I like to lean towards the fact that he's going to go for a more pocket passer, which a guy like Shedeur Sanders, Will Howard, they definitely fit the mold of that. But at the same time, with us having an innovative offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly, he's a guy that's shown that he can work with pocket passers, dual threat quarterbacks, but he has definitely shown that he can get a lot of great production out of quarterbacks that can use their legs. And really, that's the way the NFL has been training. You need to get quarterbacks that have some athleticism, that that can move when the pocket breaks down, when the play breaks down, have some ability to improvise and bail their team out of trouble when they have to, using their legs. So that's something to definitely take into consideration. But Raider Nation, with the latest news of Stafford being off the table, let me know what you guys think should be the move now for the Raiders addressing the quarterback position in this year's offseason. But with that being said, that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Anybody that is new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.